Long ago, in a village far up in the mountain, a story happened that helps illustrate how God uses Satan in this world. There was a kind gentleman, and everybody in the village loved this man. He was respected and admired. People went to him for advice. He lived up on, had some land right by the city and had a beautiful house up on a hill, and he owned another hill that overlooked the village that had these beautiful oak trees, huge oak trees on it. And he had a daughter, and he was sought out for advice, and he was just a person everybody loved and respected for his kindness and his generosity. And he only had one enemy, and it was a man who hated him because everybody else admired and loved him. In other words, he wanted the admiration and love that this kind gentleman always got. So he was jealous of him and hated him. And he hated him so bad, he decided one day, I know what I can do to hurt him. I want to hurt him in a way that can never be repaired. So he decided that he was going to go up on this kind gentleman's big piece of land, this hill that overlooked the village where all these big beautiful oak trees were, and he was going to cut down the biggest, prettiest oak tree right in the middle of that hill. And it was hundreds of years old, so it would never in his lifetime look that pretty again. So that's what he did. He snuck in about dark one day, and he was going to chop the tree down. So he had his axe, and he got there and he worked all night in the dark. And it was a huge tree, and he was working really hard to chop it down. And by morning, he had almost got it where it was fall, but it wasn't quite through. And he noticed on the hill adjacent that the kind gentleman was coming out of his front door, and he had another man with him, and he was walking straight for him. So he worked more frantically, and he was tired from working all night and sweating, and his hands were slippery, and he was really exhausted, but he worked, and just as the man almost got to him, he heard the tree crack, and he realized he had accomplished his goal. It was going to fall. And so he backed up, and he tripped, and the tree fell right across this man. And it was laying across his chest, and he was laying there in the process of dying. And the kind gentleman walked up to him and bent down, and this jealous man looked at the kind gentleman, and he said, I may be dying, but I've accomplished my goal. I have hurt you in a way that can never be fixed. He said, I have cut down the biggest, prettiest tree in this oak grove on this hill of yours, and it'll never look the same in your lifetime. And the kind gentleman looked down at him and said, if you only knew. This man with me is an architect, and he's here to help design a house for my daughter. My daughter's getting married, and we're going to put a house on this hill, and all we had to do was remove one tree to make a spot for their beautiful home, and you've done it for me. He helped God accomplish his will. That's what Satan does in our lives. He helps God accomplish his will. It reveals who his true children are. Because when you have problems in life, you either run to God for his help or you blame God. So trouble and problems reveal who God's children really are. And those are the ones that will be in heaven. Will you be in heaven? I want you to be.